Alô? Alô? Planeta Terra chamando! Planeta Terra chamando! Essa é mais uma edição do Diário de Bordo de Luciano Amaral, diretamente do mundo da Lua, onde tudo pode acontecer. Ryan, first of all, it's an amazing pleasure to be here with you, to talk to you, and of course, to talk about Moon, because I have a very close relation with Moon, you know.
Really?
Yeah, I think that you have some after the movie, of course, but talking specifically about the movie, how was for you portraying this very special man? Did you talk to his family or something?
Yeah, we had a lot of help on this one. Neil's sons and his ex-wife Janet, and NASA really opened its doors for us, and lots of help on a technical level. You know, when we were shooting specific missions like the Gemini missions or the Apollo missions, we would have people who were working on those missions at the time come and help us sort of just you know, talk us through the headspace that the astronauts were in, or the, you know, the paneling of the capsule. And it was really it was amazing. It was amazing to get to visit this period of history, and also to spend time with the people who lived it.
First man to walk on the moon. That'd be something.
Damien has told us that the movie is not just about the mission itself. Mm-hmm. It's something they're so in the kitchen, exactly. And
right.
What he means about it, because all these things that happened on their houses was so important in so much ways, right?
Yeah, well, it's hard to imagine, but this, for these astronauts and for their families, this was their job, and they went to work, except work was to go to space or to the moon, and they would have these extraordinary experiences at work, which would be hard for us or most people to relate to, and then they'd have to come home and clean the pool and take out the trash and, you know, do the regular things that other families would have to do. So we tried to, and we wanted to sort of show the juxtaposition of those two realities.
I think what's fascinating about Neil is the extent to which he's a mystery. The irony that the most famous person, or one of the most famous people in the history of the world, is fundamentally so unknown. But as a human being, once you get past the symbol and you try to kind of look at him as a father, a husband, a son, a person, a man, then all sorts of fascinating questions start coming up, because he wasn't what you expect, especially from sort of certain other depictions of the space race we've seen. You know, you expect maybe a certain kind of hotshot pilot kind of attitude, and he was the opposite of that. He was an engineer first and foremost. He became a pilot because he wanted to figure out how planes worked.
Do you guys have the chance to use those machines, U-Force machines, on these kind of things that astronauts use to, I don't know, be alert with what can happen in space or this kind of stuff?
We made one of the test machines that they made was something called the multi-axis trainer, and it's sort of gyroscopic, and it spins you around every which way for certain periods of time. It's when they had not spent time in space, and they were trying to find ways to simulate space on Earth to sort of prepare the astronauts for what it might be like. They were sort of creating all of these. It was an interesting day. It was an interesting day. Yeah, I mean, every day was interesting, really, because there was so. It's just. You know, on every level, it's really hard to comprehend, and the only way you can really relate to it, though, is through the experiences of the people who lived it, the human experiences. And so it was great to have those people who lived it around, so they could sort of tell us what it was really like and how it felt. It was the only way really into understanding it in some way.
So as soon as La La Land was done, we kind of got right to work on this one. Started shaping the character, working on the script with Josh, casting the rest of the cast around him, prepping. And it was just this really immersive experience, I think, for both of us. You know, getting to know the Armstrong family, getting to know the astronauts, diving into the research full-fledged, going to Houston, going to Edwards Air Force Base, going to Cape Canaveral. I really wanted to just put the audience right in Neil's shoes, his wife's shoes, and inside those tiny spacecrafts.
One more time, you and Damien together. It was an amazing experience for you guys both together last time. How was the experience one more time with this very young director?
It was you know, it was a very different experience. We shot it in a very different way. You know, La La Land was long, very carefully choreographed takes, and in this we sort of used a documentary style, and so the environment on set was very different. You know, it was not a lot of crew around, because in that style the camera has to be able to move around 360 degrees, so we were oftentimes just alone on sets with Linus, our DP and camera operator. So it was a very different experience, but it was exciting.
I had heard that Damien said that you and Neil Armstrong are similar in some aspects. Do you think that you guys have some similarities?
We're both people. I think that's the major similarity. But no, Neil is a very, very unique person, and it was a great experience trying to portray him. It was a big responsibility because he was a very complicated and unique person.
What makes this new movie for you special?
First of all, these three astronauts that went to the moon on the Apollo 11 mission, you know, they were the tip of the iceberg. There was, you know, they say there was 400,000 people beneath them that made those missions possible. But having said that, Neil was the first person to step on the moon. So to experience this story and that through the really specific window of his life, I think is a unique vantage point to experience this period of time and this accomplishment.
Yeah, the last question is about, there's a lot of hoax about man never step on that.
Right.
After studying a lot, not just about Neil, but about the Apollo 11, what do you have to say about it? Yeah,
you know, there were 5 missions in total to the moon, and it was interesting when we were shooting, because there were a lot of, you know, we were aware of a lot of the conspiracy theories, and it was when we were actually shooting the physical landing itself, you know, a lot of those things started sort of to present, the answers to those presented themselves. So I'm convinced that we went to the moon, but I'm also convinced that you can fake it if you shoot at Tyler Perry Studios in Atlanta, which is where we shot, which made for a pretty good moon, actually.
Brian, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Sure, thank you.
You're a bunch of boys. You don't have anything under control.